You are now listening to WSN, Wolf Sports Network, live from the University of West Georgia in Carrollton, now an Odyssey station.
Welcome to the Playbook, your ultimate game plan for college sports. Four guys who live and breathe the game are here to break down the biggest plays, hottest takes, and boldest predictions, bringing you segments like The Kickoff.
Haynes King rolls into Mercedes-Benz Stadium next season.
No way!
And they beat the Georgia Bulldogs.
Halftime hoops.
You know what? I have faith in Gonzaga. They're going to go all the way this year.
Gonzaga's the same team every year, and they disappoint every year.
Seventh inning stretch.
Drew Burress is the best player in college baseball.
What are you talking about? Jamie Arnold clears him.
And to end it all off, a signature segment of Who's That Campus Legend.
The first hint is this player went to UNC.
It's obviously Drake May.
Dude, it's Michael Jordan.
This is The Playbook on Wolf Sports Network.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to The Playbook. Today, I am joined by Jackson Bowles, Brandon Dyer, and Aiden? That's not Aiden over there. That's not Aiden. That's Richard Reed from Sports Pack. How are you doing today, man?
Pretty good. Happy to be here, man. Glad y'all chose me to fill in. Chose me as one of the people to fill in for Aiden.
Of course. And now what I've heard about Aiden is I've heard he's on maternity leave. If you guys haven't noticed, he's had a little bit of a baby bump in these last couple episodes. And
I thought something was going on when I was watching the other day.
I was about to say, mine's coming up, so.
When's your
Brandon
due
will
date,
be due in
Brandon?
a couple months. I think Jackson's due at the end of the year, right?
Congrats. But Jackson, how's your week going so far?
Dude, it's been going actually fantastic. Despite watching Kentucky lose to Tennessee, that kind of hurt my heart. I know on the last episode of the Playbook, I believed, the past two times Kentucky faced Tennessee, they beat them both times. And, I was expecting that to be the case this time. Unfortunately, in March Madness, teams crumble under pressure, and that's what happened to my Wildcats. So mixed feelings. My baseball team's doing good, but we're not here to talk about that today. But yeah, mixed feelings.
All right, Brandon, how you doing today, man?
After a weekend of watching college basketball, I think that it's just going to be a good week for me, and I think it's going to be a good show for all of us here today.
Yeah. That's good. And I want to clear up, Aiden is not actually pregnant.
April Fools.
If you guys didn't know,
We got
it's
you
April
guys.
Fools. We might be cracking a lot of jokes today, but we are going to kick this off with some college basketball.
It's Page off balance.
It's time for halftime hoops.
So, since we last talked, there have been a lot of games that happened, including the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8. There's been a lot of good games going on, and one game that I really want to talk about is this Houston and Purdue game. Now, Richard, I know you picked Houston to be your champion, and they looked really, really good in this game. I did not expect it to be as defensive as it was, although both of these teams very defensive-oriented. But what do you see out of this game?
I mean, it was an extremely exciting game. Purdue had a chance to really run away and win this game with an amazing March Madness moment at the end. The ball didn't bounce their way, but to your point, the Houston defense is elite, and it has been all year. Head coach Kelvin Sampson, he brings a defensive culture in every single team he coaches, and since he's been at Houston this most recent tenure, they have had extremely well-crafted, well-coached defensive teams, and this year is no different. But outside of this Purdue game, what they do also have is an extremely efficient offense, with three of their guards on their starting lineup shooting over 41% from the three-point line. So they've got scoring to match up with their defense as well, and that's exactly why they're in the Final Four.
And with another game that I want to bring up is Michigan State and Ole Miss. Now, personally, I didn't think that Michigan State looked too good in this tournament. And I thought that Ole Miss, coming in with firepower, they looked great through this entire tournament, playing higher than I thought they would, and Michigan State playing lower than I thought they would throughout the entire tournament. Now, Brandon, you have Michigan State as your champion.
Yes, I did. I don't regret it at all. I do want to throw that out there.
You shouldn't. They look great during the regular season.
Yeah, they did look really, really good up until the tournament. But that was a big game. And Kentucky, your good old Kentucky Wildcats that you brought up earlier.
Are we claiming them this week?
Am I claiming them this week? I am claiming them.
Listen, I promise you,
Okay.
Jackson I've known Jackson for 3 years.
So-
He's had a different team all 3 years.
But when it comes to college basketball, that's a different story.
Let Penn State win the Big Ten next year. I bet he's a Penn State fan.
Look, Kentucky looked great against Troy. I mean, I kind of expected them to kind of lose in the first round based on, I know it's under different like coaching management. Mark Pope, with what he's done this season, coming in from BYU, and especially with having 6 of our players on injury list this past season, and 2 of them going out, Kirk Krissa and Jackson Robinson out for the entire season, 2 of the top players on that team. I really like the future of Kentucky basketball. We got Jasper Johnson, the number 2 recruit, coming in, and the number 5 recruit, Michael Moreno, coming in. No surprise there. I feel like they're going to translate really well into D1 ball. I'm excited for next season. Unfortunately, they couldn't take it this season, but I'm very proud of what the Kentucky Wildcats have done this season.
Yeah, with Tennessee and Kentucky, I thought this would be a very, very close game. It turned out not to be that way, but there was also another blowout with Alabama and BYU. Alabama just looked like the best team in the Sweet 16, other than you could say Duke beating Arizona. Yeah. But Alabama just came in like with offense firing. Yeah. How many threes was it?
25.
25 threes, which is
25
NCAA record right there.
They could have used a couple of those threes against Duke in the next round.
They could have.
Dude, I seen a stat about that game the other day that said if Alabama missed every single one of their 2-point shots, they would have still been able to win that game.
They still
That's incredible. That right there is incredible.
Dude, but when it comes to the Alabama and Duke game, you know, they look really solid through like the first couple rounds, and then when it came to Duke, I honestly have a hypothetical question for you 3 at the table. Duke, Houston, Florida, Auburn. I feel like that Duke game kind of showcased what on a different level Duke is compared to Florida, Houston, and Auburn. So, like not like a completely different level, but I wanted to ask you, Richard. I know Houston is your champion,
right?
And Houston looked fantastic against Tennessee. What kind of separates Houston from Duke for you?
I mean, there's not a lot separating these teams. All 4 of them are in the Final Four for a reason.
Yeah.
They were 1 seeds going into this tournament for a reason. They're great teams.
Yeah.
When you look at this Duke and Houston matchup, it's extremely interesting because, like you were saying, Duke has firepower up and down their roster, compiled of essentially nothing but 5 stars.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Guys like Cooper Flagg, Tyrese Proctor, Con Kneppel, who's really worked his way up into probably being a lottery pick in this year's NBA draft. They've got talent. Mm-hmm. But when I look at that matchup, this upcoming matchup against Houston, like I mentioned earlier, Houston's defense is what sets them apart. They'll guard anybody no matter the size. You even got guys like L.J. Cryer, who was known for being a scorer when he was at Baylor, transition over to Houston and become a defensive anchor at the point guard position. And then, like I said, they got the shooting to match up for with L.J. Cryer, Emmanuel Sharp, and Uzan all shooting over 41% from the 3-point line. They're very experienced, very well coached with Kelvin Sampson. It's hard to overlook them. Now, if Duke was going up against Auburn, Duke was going up against Florida, I would expect to see very great games, and I probably pick Duke to come out on top. But because of the defense, shooting, and experience of this Houston team, I just can't pencil in Duke as the Final Four winner.
Yeah, none of these games in this Final Four are guaranteed at all. Like you said, the top 4 teams of the season all in this Final Four matchup. This is going to be a great weekend of basketball. No. But I do like your question about Alabama destroying BYU by 25 points and then losing to Duke by 20 the next week. It's just something that it's insane to me. It's like it puts Duke way up here. Alabama, like that's the next closest team.
I genuinely wonder what went wrong with Alabama. Like Mark Sears was one of their top 3-point shooters all season and all tournament. But then when it came to Duke, he went.
He was 2 for 12.
He was 2 for 12 from the field, and I just wonder what went wrong. Do any of you know what went wrong with this Alabama team against Duke?
Duke was the better team, I think.
Well, I know that, but I'm
dude, Duke plays great team defense, and I feel like that gets overshadowed because how well they can score.
Yeah.
They dropped 85 points against Alabama en route to beating them 85-65, but I feel like the defensive side of the ball for Duke gets overlooked. They rally to the ball. They create mistakes, create turnovers. They force you into bad shots, and they forced Alabama off the 3-point line to the point where even when they did get open threes, they couldn't get the lid off the basket.
Yeah, with coming into this tournament, I didn't think that Alabama was going to make it very far anyway because, yes, they have one of the top offenses, but their defense was lackluster. And with these past champions that we've seen, you need to have a good defense to make a good run in this tournament. And coming in with Duke Duke looked like the best team all throughout the tournament. They haven't had a bad game so far, like destroying Baylor in the round of 32, then going on to beat Arizona, and then
In a really tough matchup here.
destroying Alabama by 20. They still look like a national championship
Dude,
team.
I'm looking at these team stats from the Duke and Alabama game. Here's the comparison. Duke, 53% from the field. Alabama, 35. 3-point percentage, 46 for Duke, 25 for Alabama. Turnovers, 13 for Duke, Alabama, 11. Now, here's when it comes to the sluggish defense, and that really, I think the sluggish defense caught up with Alabama. It's just like, and just with getting boards in general, Duke 41, Alabama 30. And Brandon, again, I've been in and out on this perspective, and I haven't had a conversation with Richard about it, but you said defense wins you championships and wins you games. Now,
No, it wins you championships. Offense wins you games. Defense wins you championships.
Championships.
I
That's
think
right.
that.
And you see, offense won Alabama 28 games this year.
Exactly.
But another game that I want to talk about, because Jackson, as a Kentucky fan, there's a team with a coach that you really, really like. But
really, really like. Are you talking about Arkansas?
talking about Arkansas, buddy,
I don't know if he likes them.
How do you feel about John Calipari getting upset in the not upset?
It wasn't really
but
an upset.
It was not an
I
upset.
mean,
it was a really good game, but Texas Tech was just the better team.
I expected Texas Tech to come out that game. Did I expect it to be as close as it was? No, because I've been really surprised with JT Toppin and Darren Williams this season as well.
Well, they were also missing
yeah.
Chance McMillan, who was their
Yeah, as
third
well.
leading scorer on the team.
Yeah, and
So-
Arkansas, again, with John Calipari's philosophy, when he was at Kentucky, he happened to start only like freshmen who didn't have much experience in the big dance, and I think that's kind of what dwindled his time towards the end of his Kentucky career. But when he transitioned to Arkansas, a lot of those guys, such as DJ Wagner, posting 12 points per game this season, significantly improving. Again, a change of scenery. I think that's what John Calipari needed. Again, I'd like to thank John Calipari for his due diligence over in, Kentucky. Do I wish him success in Arkansas? No, because
Someone's jealous.
Somebody's jealous.
But hey, Arkansas and Kentucky, I would have been a little more upset if Arkansas made it farther than Kentucky. But did that happen? No.
But you know what? I do like the fact that you tipped your cap to John Calipari,
Yeah.
because you're right. In his later years at Kentucky, they did have a one-and-done problem. Because when you have a program like Kentucky,
Yeah.
it's hard to get those big – because they're constantly landing the top players in the country. The big-time recruits, 5 stars going in at that program. And that's the thing. They were just going in and out, staying for 1 year, declaring for the NBA draft,
Yeah.
no matter how much they develop. But being able to pivot to the University of Arkansas, bring a lot of the guys from Kentucky with him, and also go out and dive into the portal and bring in more experienced guys. You mentioned one, I want to mention another, in John L. Davis,
Yeah.
who was the starting point guard for that FAU team that made the Final Four a couple years ago, with Elijah Martin, who is now a Florida Gator. He dropped 30 points in that loss to Texas Tech. Made 11 free throws. Like, that's just insane to me, but he dropped 30 points nonetheless. So that experience right there is really going to help change the way basketball is played in Arkansas, and I feel like it's going to help change the narrative for Coach Calipari, because he's obviously still a great head coach.
Yeah.
He just needs experienced players that are really bought into the program.
I think he's still one of the top 5 coaches of the last 25 years.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
one
for
of the
sure.
best ones that I've ever seen coach.
Yeah, and you put him up with
And-
Coach K, Tom Izzo. I would honestly put Villanova's Jay Wright up there as well.
Like now with him in this age of NIL, I think this is the time for John Calipari to flourish, because a big part of that problem was he'd get in these 5 stars and then immediately go into the NBA
Right.
after their
Yeah.
freshman season. But now we're seeing kids are staying in college.
Yeah.
Like, he has
So-
DJ Wagner. This is DJ Wagner's second year.
Yeah.
If he's able to stack up these 5 stars like that,
Oh,
and
yeah.
just convince them to stay in school and not go, and if they're making the money that
Exactly.
they would be making, like not on their NBA like rookie contract,
Yeah.
Right, with the
Then-
coach of his caliber, they're going to turn into something incredible.
And some of these Kentucky transfers definitely needed a change of scenery, because DJ Wagner, you don't understand how upset he made me in that Oakland game. The dude went 1 for 11 from the field. We're supposed to, and then you got Jack Golke, boom, 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 like cannon shots.
He had an
everywhere.
insane game.
And people ask me, do you remember where you were when that situation happened? Dude, I was getting a new pair of shoes, a new pair of KD Trey somethings at the Nike outlet in Locust Grove, Tanger Outlets. So that's where I was.
He definitely remembers where he was
Remember
at.
that? And I pull up my
that
phone.
TV in that sneaker shop, bro.
I'm having a great day, thinking I'm getting a new pair of kicks. and then the team kicked rocks. So, I wasn't very happy with that situation. But I was a little iffy on the Mark Pope situation coming in. Had a lot of success with BYU, brought in guys like Jackson Robinson. I really wish I could have seen Jackson Robinson perform in the March Madness tournament. Unfortunately, that's the way the cookie crumbles. It's just, that's just what happens.
Yeah, Mark Pope's going to have some success at Kentucky.
Yeah.
And I really like the point Brandon made. I don't want to linger on this topic for too long, but with this NIL era, players aren't having to just rush to the NBA to get that big paycheck. They are getting paid in college. It's going to give them more time to sit back and develop, and that's going to help them in the long term because they'll pivot into the NBA a better player, not as raw, more polished, and also it's going to help the college coaches and their teams because as we see constantly, the most experienced teams typically win in the March Madness tournament. Experienced and well-coached teams make it all the way.
Can I pivot off of that very quick?
Go for it.
Because you said helping college coaches and their teams. Do you want to know why I don't think helps that? You brought it up in Sports Pack. The transfer portal opening during March Madness. We see guys like Michigan's Justin Pippen go in there. Kentucky just got one of the top 3-point shooters in the transfer portal from Tulane and Cam Williams. I want to know y'all's thoughts on the transfer portal opening up during March Madness while games are going on. I just don't think you gotta wait till it's all done.
Especially when you're still in the tournament.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, with some of these guys that are transferring, like, that's got to create some stuff in the locker room. Like, I would be like, you're transferring out of here. We still got a whole tournament to go and win, but you're wanting to just leave the team.
I think I'd kind of combine what both of you are saying, and to the point that if you're still in the tournament, I don't think you should be open to the transfer portal until at least you're eliminated.
Yeah.
But if you're not, if you're like one of those teams sitting on the outside of it, you didn't even get into the big dance, you are more than welcome to go and talk to really any kind of college that you want to about where you want to go.
And you know what? That's what's so interesting about it. You mentioned that players shouldn't be able to enter until their team's eliminated, but the fact that teams are already eliminated and our team is still playing, that puts the coaches at a disadvantage because now they can't go scout these other players that are already in the portal. Yeah. I think the fatal flaw is just the timing of it all. The portal should not open as the tournament's going on. The season should be over when the portal window opens. We're seeing the same thing in college football, where the portal window opens in the winter, but the college football playoff is still happening. And we're having the exact same problem here. If we're going to have this extended playoff structure in both of these sports, then the portal window needs to be shifted.
In college football, that's what they do have, because they have an opening for the portal like that's separate from teams that aren't going into like bowl games and stuff like that.
But it's still difficult, though, because it still penalizes the coaches for still being active, because now these coaches for example, Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss, they didn't make the college football playoff. So he was able to get hands-on with the transfer portal recruits when a guy like, say, Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame, he's sitting here game planning throughout the week and still trying to cater to these transfer portal recruits that are interested in Notre Dame. So I just feel like, and to make the playing field completely level, the transfer portal should open when the season's over. Yeah. I feel like it's a very simple fix. It's just the NCAA is being the NCAA, and I don't even want to go down that rabbit hole because I despise the NCAA.
Well, I would say in college basketball specifically, like the 4 teams that we have left, like the 4 1 seeds that we have, I would say if someone was going to one of those 4 teams, they'd just hold out until they were offered them after the tournament. I don't think anyone's going to a college that they would have gone to, like one of those 4, while the tournament is still going on.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
before we move on to the Elite 8, one more matchup that we really didn't talk about in the Sweet 16, Florida destroying Maryland, and not really a close game at all. Kind of expected. Maryland barely got by Colorado State, but Florida also barely got by UConn. So, but I think Florida looked better, and I think that Florida deserved to move on over Maryland. Now, with the Elite 8, Florida and Texas Tech. What are your thoughts, Brandon?
This was a matchup that when the brackets came out, I knew it was happening. I thought that it was going to be St. John's that Texas Tech was going to beat to get there. But I loved Maryland. I loved Texas Tech. I loved Florida. I loved every single one of the high seeds in that region right there. And they put on a heck of a show.
Yeah, they did.
Like in a March Madness that was really kind of lacking a whole lot of close games.
Yep.
Texas Tech and Florida put together a game that was, without a doubt, the best in the Elite 8.
Yeah,
could have been one of the best in the Sweet 16s, too, of last weekend. But I think that Florida, the big thing that they did in this game that allowed them to win it was they fixed what I've been complaining about them. They fixed their free throw problem.
Yeah.
They were shooting less than 50% against UConn, and they shot less than 65% against Maryland. But they came out against Texas Tech, and they shot over 90%.
Yeah.
So I think Florida, without a doubt, proved to me that, hey, we showed that we do have some flaws, but we can fix those flaws.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to carry over into them playing Auburn in the Final Four.
I'll say this: Texas Tech had that game won, man.
Oh, yeah. Texas Tech was leading that game by 10 at one point.
Exactly. Texas Tech put together a heck of a performance, especially in the second half, pulling away against Florida, but they got hot a little too soon. Because in the last 2.5 minutes of the game, correct me if I'm wrong, Florida went on an 18-4 run to win this game by 5 points.
Yeah, see, I thought Texas Tech was going to win it, and
I
that
did
was
too.
going to be it. So
I
I
thought
left
that
the
game was
station
over.
here, went home, and when I got home, I seen the group chat blowing up. Like, what is going on? Why is this a game right now?
You know why it's game? Walter Clayton, 3. Ding,
Man.
ding, ding.
Yeah, he scored 30 points in that game.
Walter Clayton is a monster.
Yeah.
That right there, he has been Florida's savior throughout this entire tournament because they have great players up and down their team. But when the game is close, whether it's the game against Maryland, the game against UConn, and the game against Texas Tech, he stepped up and made what I thought were impossible shots at the end of those games to really set Florida over the top.
Like me, I have to go as far as say he's the MVP of the entire tournament right now.
I
that's
agree.
just me.
It's hard to argue against.
It's between
him and Cooper
Cooper
Flagg.
Flagg.
I mean, and I would love to see that matchup in the championship, which
I'm
I'm
hoping.
glad that is still an opportunity. But the other region, the Midwest, Houston just making Tennessee look like a little kid, like stealing candy from a baby. Tennessee looked awful in this game. There's also Duke and Bama, which we already talked about, and Duke winning that by 20. And then Auburn and Michigan State, which, with how good Auburn looked in this tournament and how bad Michigan State looked in this tournament, I did not expect it to be a 6-point win for Auburn. I expected this to be a lot higher.
Well, see,
in my
for
opinion.
Auburn, they
the
went
game-
out into
sorry about
that
that.
game, and they got out to like a 15. Like, they were leading 23-8 to
the
start
score,
that game.
The score makes it seem like it was a lot closer than it really was.
Yeah.
And to go back to that Tennessee-Houston game briefly, defense.
Right.
You hold Tennessee to 15 points in the first half, that game was a wrap.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that reminds me of Clemson only scoring 13 in the first half against McNeese in the round of 64.
Don't remind me of that. Brandon, I'm still mad at you for buying me
You
into
can
that
be mad at me
Clemson
all
hype.
you want to, buddy. I was about to say, I've been wrong before, I'll be wrong again.
Man, I'm feeling kind of hungry right now. Jackson, are you kind of hungry?
I am kind of hungry.
Would you say you're hungry like a wolf?
I believe so.
Well, that's good to hear because Dine West is committed to offering a diverse menu that accommodates a wide range of dietary preferences, including vegan, gluten-free, and multicultural options. Our menu changes daily, and you can view the weekly offerings for both East Commons and West Commons at westga.edu/DimeWeds. Now, don't go anywhere because when we come back, we're going to be talking some Final Four and some college baseball.
Hey, do you want to be a part of Wolf Sports Network? Yeah! Well, I have some good news for you because you can join us. Woohoo! So if you want to learn more about this, go to wolfsportsnetwork.com and click WIT Sports Program. With becoming a WIT, you expand your knowledge in the sports radio world and join our ever-growing family.
New face over there, you're not tripping. We got my guy JT over here shadowing the board. He's running through a WIT program right now. Brandon, how you feeling, baby? Welcome to
I'm
Sports
feeling
Pack.
great being on here for the first time.
And we can't wait to meet you once you join us.
It's a brand new season, and you know what that means. A brand new series.
Kool-Aid Jackson Cook.
Mark my words, by the end of his career, Nolan Arenado will be better than Chipper Jones.
Jackson Cook.
New short series, exclusively on Wolf Sports Network YouTube.
Kool-Aid Jackson Cook.
Make sure to like and follow on all socials for more content.
Wolf Sports Network is content heaven for a sports fan, but their show Sports Pack is my personal favorite. Sports Pack airs on Mondays and Thursdays from 6 to 7 on Wolf Sports Network, filled with fresh personalities, funny moments, and piping hot takes, along with call-ins that allow listeners to get in on the action. Check out Sports Pack every Monday and Thursday from 6 to 7, only on Wolf Sports Network.
It's a tale as old as time. All good things must come to an end. But this final ride is going to be legendary.
Oh, yeah.
More legendary than this,
Is this the dagger?
and this.
Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown!
So be sure to listen to Triple Threat every Friday starting at 11, only on Wolf Sports Network.
Hey, do you want to be a part of Wolf Sports Network? Well, I have some good news for you because you can join us. So if you want to learn more about this, go to wolfsportsnetwork.com and click WIT Sports Program. With becoming a WIT, you expand your knowledge in the sports radio world and join our ever-growing family.
New face over there, you're not tripping. We got my guy JT over here shadowing the board. He's running through a WIT program right now. Brandon, how you feeling, baby? Welcome to Sports
I'm feeling
Fan.
great being on here for the first time.
And we can't wait to meet you once you join us.
All right, welcome back, everybody. And now that we have covered the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight, let's talk about this Final Four. Now, the top 4 teams in the regular season are in the Final Four of this tournament. Now, Florida and Auburn, that is a great matchup. I love to see it. Jackson, what are your thoughts on this game coming up?
Now, I just wanted to preface this. First of all, I want to kind of reference my bracket a little bit. You know, I had Florida going against Michigan State in the Final Four, and then at the bottom of my bracket, I had Wisconsin versus Clemson. Again, because when March
In the Final Four?
In the Elite Eight.
Yes.
Wisconsin versus
Yes.
Clemson in the
You
Final
had
Four?
Wisconsin and
I
Clemson
didn't
in your
have
Final Four?
At least I didn't have Gonzaga going all the way.
Good
Hey.
Lord.
I had
Hey.
Wisconsin in my Final Four, but
Man, did you carry on.
Yeah, keep going.
But anyway,
That was just alarming. Oh, my goodness.
No, I was gonna toss it to Brandon, who's the big Florida guy. But I didn't. All I gotta say is I didn't really expect all of the number 1 teams to match up in the Final Four because that's what. Hey, here at the Playbook, Richard, we pick fun, outgoing
Hold up.
brackets. Why are you coming
Right.
at me for Wisconsin and Clemson?
I apologize. I have fun. Look, I have fun when picking my brackets, but I do try to put some logic in there as well. So I'm
least
sorry.
I didn't-
Sorry for using logic.
Hey, you were laughing at me.
See, look.
At least I didn't have Liberty going to the Elite Eight.
like, whoa there,
Whoa.
hold up. Whoa,
Things happen.
what did Liberty do, okay?
Don't
Hold
try
up.
to drag other people down because your bracket was ridiculous.
Hey, at least,
Don't
I
even
didn't,
do
at least
it.
I didn't lose the whole thing. You all are going to have to stay tuned
So-
for Wolf Sports Network Instagram for later next week for that.
So
It's
my
gonna be
stance
interesting.
with the entire Final Four that we have
Yeah.
right now is this might be one of the best Final Fours that we've seen
Yeah.
in a while, but this is also one of the worst overall NCAA tournaments that we've had in
I
forever.
couldn't-
At least since I remember. So
And that was
Is
a
that
long time ago.
would you say that because there isn't a traditional Cinderella team this year?
I would say that because there's not been a lot of close games.
Yeah.
I would say not because there's not a Cinderella. It bugs me a little that there's not one, but I think the thing that bugs me more is we just had an Elite Eight that looked on paper like it was going to be really good.
Yeah.
And there was only one good game that came out of that whole entire week. So
Yeah, and I understand it. I definitely get where you're coming from, and I've heard other people echo the same sentiment. It's just, to me, that's just the beauty of the tournament, though.
Right.
Because some years you're gonna have extremely good games. Every single game is gonna feel like a battle. And there's teams like this year where there isn't one alpha dog like how UConn has been in years past, but there are a few teams that are just heads and shoulders above everyone else. There's still been some tough games, like Gonzaga and Houston was a battle.
Yeah.
Florida and UConn was a battle, but I get what you mean. Outside of that, a lot of the games haven't been that close. But I'm with you. The Final Four is going to be incredible.
Because
Because
I think
these
these
teams
were-
are going to be great.
I think these were one of the 4 best one teams that we've seen in a tournament in forever, all time. In terms of Kim Palm, these were teams that were all 4 in the top 6 all time in that rating.
Like incredible teams.
Now, going a little in depth into this first matchup, Florida versus Auburn, I wanted to ask the three of you, which team separates from the other and why?
Neither. I don't think either one of them separates from each other. I think it's going to be a close game. Again, I think this is going to be one of the best Final Fours that we've ever seen, and I think that comes with. I think we're going to have 3 good games no matter what combination you try to put them in at the end of the season.
I really like that. I agree. You really cannot separate these two teams. They both have looked very dominant throughout this entire tournament. And same with the other side, too, with Duke and Houston. All 4 of these teams, I would not care who made the championship because I know no matter who it is, it's going to be a good game.
Right. It's interesting when you look at this Florida and Auburn game because it is an SEC matchup. Really shows how dominant the SEC has been this year. The fact that they have 2 teams in the Final Four, it's incredible. And these teams only squared off once this season. Florida winning that game 90-81, and it was a straight up battle. I mean, every game in the SEC has been a battle this year, but that was a battle, and it's because these are two teams that are very experienced. Guys like Elijah Martin on Florida and Janai Broom on Auburn. There are stars up and down. They have young stars like how the Auburn Tigers have Taj Pettiford, and then Florida's got their guy in Walter Clayton Jr. Both of these teams are stacked top to bottom. They can go deep into their benches and bring in guys for a spark. That's why this game is going to be incredible, man. I can't wait to watch it. I really don't know who. If I'm going to make a pick right now, I'm going to plead the fifth because I have no idea.
Auburn, they have 9 guys on their team that average at least 9 minutes a game, so they have that bench of depth right there. And Florida, they just had a guy come off of their bench and score 20 points against Texas Tech. So either one of these teams can turn to their bench if they need be.
The one thing that holds me up with Auburn is Janai Broom's health. Yeah. Because he came down with a nasty looking elbow injury. It seemed like he hyperextended it some, and he made a 3 in that Michigan State game after he came back in after he exited for a little while, put a little horse tranquilizer in his elbow a little bit. But he was still moving very gingerly. He kept his elbow bent the entire rest of the game. So I really want to see how healthy he is going into this matchup against Florida because they're going to need him.
But bringing up off the bench again, I'm a big fan of Tahad Pettiford because Tahad Pettiford off the bench is averaging 11.7 points per game throughout this whole entire tournament, and that goes for their matchup. We didn't really bring this up last time, JT, but their matchup against Michigan. I honestly had, just for the fun of it, I felt like, I thought Michigan was going to pull it out against Auburn in that, Elite 8 situation, but that did not happen because I know you bought me into the Big Ten basketball hype, Brandon.
Big Ten basketball is really fun.
It's good.
Don't blame Brandon. Don't blame Brandon. You bought it now.
Me, at the end of the day, makes the decision.
But I would have loved to see a Michigan and Michigan State matchup in that Elite Eight. That would have made my day.
It would have fed families.
Let's flip over to the other side where we have Duke versus Houston. Now, Richard, of course, we already talked about Houston, your champion pick. But what makes you think that Houston beats Duke in this matchup?
Dude, because they're so battle-tested. I talked in the earlier segment about how well-coached they are. Kelvin Sampson is one of the best coaches in college basketball right now, has been for the past few years. They play insane team defense. They rally to the ball. Every time you see the ball get passed into the low post, red jerseys just swarm to the ball. But somehow, you seem like you're a quadruple team, but nobody else is open. And then the three-point shooting. But I already talked about all that. I want to talk about their resume. They're an extremely talented team so far this year. They are 34-4.
Yeah.
3 of their losses were one-score games, and they lost those games in overtime.
Yeah.
And even their one loss in regulation was also a one-score game. Their losses came to the Auburn Tigers, the Alabama Crimson Tide, San Diego State in a game that just caught everybody off guard, and then the Texas Tech Red Raiders, who they only lost to 82-81 on the last second shot. So this is a Houston team that is battle-tested. They can win close games. They can win blowouts by being well-coached, great defense, and great three-point shooting.
Okay, I am going to give props to Houston because they beat who I thought was going to go to the national championship in Tennessee, blew them out of the water. But I do want to give credit to Gonzaga because the only team that's been able to hang with Houston in this tournament has been
Purdue also has been able to hang with them.
With the 60.
I think it's much more impressive that Gonzaga was able to hang within 5 points of Houston compared to Purdue keeping it a 2-point game.
Speaking of 5 points of Houston, I'm looking at this spread line right now. Duke is favored by 5.5 points. Duke is favored by 5.5 points.
I think
that genuinely,
understandably so.
Yeah, that shows you how close this game is going to be. Honestly, I want to throw predictions around the table.
I like that.
JT.
With just this game, or are we talking what teams
Just
to
with
the national championship?
Duke Houston.
I think Duke wins this one, but I think it's going to be very low scoring. 2 great defenses and also 2 pretty good offenses. I would say Duke 75-72.
I have not bought into Houston. Like I came into this tournament thinking that Houston, they're probably going to be the worst 1 seed out of all of them. But I think now after seeing them in this tournament and what they've been doing, I think I might have Houston in my championship. Like, honestly, I think if there's a team that's going to beat Duke, I think it's either going to be Florida or it's going to be Houston. And I think Houston gets it done. I think it's going to be low scoring. I'm going to say Houston wins 65-61.
I like that. And I'm with you, Brandon. I'm really bought into Houston as well, as I'm sure you all and the rest of the audience can tell from this episode. I love Houston. I feel like they're due. It's their year. But if Duke somehow gets by Houston in this Final Four game, I firmly believe that Duke will win the national championship. But I'm picking Houston to win this game. And my score is pretty similar to yours, JT. I got Houston winning 73-71, somewhere in that ballpark. It's going to be very exciting, but very defensive as well. Two very scrappy teams. Bring your popcorn. It's going to be a great one.
Look, I said it the first episode I was on, the Playbook episode 2. This Duke team is the most complete Duke team I've seen since 2015 when they had Jahlil Okafor, they had Justice Winslow, Tyus Jones, they had other guys in that team. And what did that team do? Win the national championship. This shows so many similarities between that 2015 team to the 2025 team. I think, and I'm really surprised with this Houston team. Again, I had Houston losing out to, I believe, Clemson or Wisconsin.
I'm sure you did.
One of those
Hey,
games.
I had Duke losing out to Liberty, okay?
Oh,
look.
That might be worse.
So y'all do just make fun brackets.
I had Duke. Duke was my championship team.
But if I got to look at this, I got Duke over Houston, and I'm going to say they make the spread line 75-72.
75-72?
75-72.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Well, me personally, I like Duke. I think they're going to go all the way. But before we talk about some college baseball, college students who binge drank alcohol at least 3 times per week were roughly 6 times more likely to perform poorly on a test or project as a result of drinking. That is why the Crafty Rabbit Meadery has joined Wolf Sports Network's and Wolf Radio's Drink Responsibly campaign to remind students drinking should be done responsibly and in an environment that discourages overindulging. Faculty will not take hangovers as excuses. Now, let's talk some college baseball.
It's time for the 7th inning stretch.
Now, I feel like we got a magician in the room, because where'd Richard go?
That is Richard. What do you mean?
I don't think that's Richard.
Yeah, dude.
Something tells me that's not Richard. But we got Michael in here working with us today. And how are you doing today, man?
Doing great.
You ready to talk some college baseball?
Absolutely.
Of course, of course. Now, I want to open this up with Brandon, Georgia Tech. Big Georgia Tech fan over here. Your games against Clemson this weekend.
Buddy, this was the biggest series that I can remember in Georgia Tech baseball. Dude, it's been a while since Georgia Tech's been relevant in baseball, but this series right here was our first big series. We had number 6 Clemson coming into town, and we really needed to walk away with 2 wins, I thought, from it. But, I think I'm happy with the 1 win that we were able to get. Because the 1 win we were able to get, we beat them 18-2. We lost the first game 9-7, but we were tied after the 8th inning in that game. And game 3 of it, we were up 3-2 in the 9th inning, and they wound up scoring 2 runs in the top of the 9th.
You said 18-2. They might have been using them torpedo bats.
Hey, they may have, but whatever they were doing, it was working. But I think that this series really showed Georgia Tech. It's weird. Our strength has been our bullpen the whole entire season, but we didn't really have a whole lot of bullpen help at all in this series. The only game that we really did have a good bullpen was the 3rd one, and that's because Riley Stanford, he started the game for us, only went 2.1 innings and allowed 3 runs. And then we had Jalen Payton come in, pitched 4 straight innings, didn't allow a single run, and he only allowed 1 hit. So the lineup, on the other hand, they were kind of buzzing all weekend. Kyle Ladasi, he put together a good series. Game 2 of that, he went 4 for 5, and he wound up having 2 home runs in that game, had 6 RBIs. Had our man Drew Burris, who we always talk about on this show, put together a show this weekend too, because he had 2 home runs and he had a double to go along with his historic start to the season that he is having. So we only won 1 game out of the weekend series, but as a Georgia Tech fan, I still think we came away really good. And obviously we impressed somebody because we didn't move out of the top 25 because we were 25th and we stayed 25th.
And speaking of ranking 25, I want to bring up the new rankings for this week. Tennessee continues to be at 1. Reigning champs, of course, they're going to be there. Number 2, Arkansas. Number 3, them dogs. Let's go, Georgia. Number 4, Florida State. Texas moves up from 7 to 5. Clemson stays at 6. LSU goes up from 8 to 7. But Alabama and Ole Miss. Hold on. Alabama moves up from 12 to 8. Ole Miss moves up from 15 to 9, which is the biggest jumper. Oklahoma drops 1 down to 10. Oregon State, whatever happened to them,
They lost to Nebraska.
they dropped
That's
from
what happened to Oregon
5 to 11.
Yeah, I don't.
UC Irving, 19 to 12. Southern Miss stays at 13. UCLA moves up from 24 to 14, so they must have had a great week. Oregon goes from 10 to 15, so not a good week for them. Auburn drops 5 from 11 to 16. Dallas Baptist, who our guy Aiden loves, we miss you, Aiden. Dallas Baptist stays at 17. Louisville stays at 18. UNC goes from 21 to 19. Troy goes from 22 to 20. And we got some new teams in here in this 21 through 25 range. Coastal Carolina coming in at 21. Kansas State at 22. Vandy dropping from 14 to 23, which is weird because Vandy's a great college baseball program. Only thing they're good at, other than academics. Arizona State at 24, and Georgia Tech, like you said, staying at 25. Now, with these new rankings, Michael, what sticks out to you?
I think, like, my biggest thing would be just kind of the loyalty they're showing to Tennessee at the top. Keep them there.
Yeah.
I'm a little biased,
Yeah.
but, like, my Georgia Bulldogs just keep rolling right now. I mean, you sweep Florida, like, 2 weeks ago, sweeping Auburn this weekend. Our offense looks insane. Rylan Zaborowski is incredible. I feel like we're the best team in the country personally. I understand keeping Tennessee at 1, but I feel like I would rank us number 1 if I were doing it.
I would not agree with you anymore. I completely agree with them Dogs looking like the best team in the country, and I think that Tennessee, they just have that name as they've always been good at baseball. So, and they won the championship, so obviously they're going to stay that 1 rank until something bad happens. But with Jackson, I want to throw this one to you. There's a new rule in the SEC, the travel rule.
Yeah.
Now, your
Explain
Kentucky
what that is.
Wildcats won a game based off of this rule.
Do you want me to explain what it is?
Go for it.
Now, the SEC travel rule, the getaway rule, to be exact. SEC getaway day rules dictate that no new inning can begin after 4:30 p.m. local time on the final game of a series on Sunday to ensure teams can travel without major delays. And within this rule, it's also talking about, like, getting the baseball players back to class on time and all that, just to make the games go faster. Even with a Kentucky win over A&M, that's why the A&M, because it was in like the final inning of the game, it was 10-5. We were up 10-5, and A&M's coach was livid. He was heated because I don't think A&M would have, based on the way A&M's been playing this season, I don't think they would have come back and beat Kentucky. But
that doesn't mean they don't deserve the chance.
That doesn't mean they don't deserve the chance, right? Being in an unbiased state right here, but the fact that this only contributes and this only concerns the SEC, I feel like if it is going to be a thing, I don't really have. I'm opposed to it because, like, why? Why would you end a game after like 4:30 p.m. local time? Like, the fans, it's not really great. I wouldn't really think it's great for fan engagement. The fans are there, pay tickets to watch that game, to watch the whole thing through, to watch these parents watch their kids play the whole thing through, and it's just not a fair thing, and especially that it only contributes to the SEC. But being a fellow SEC fan, JT, or even Brandon, what are y'all's thoughts? Michael, what are your thoughts on this getaway rule before we flip topics?
So I want to start with this. I do not like this at all. I like how they're trying to put academics first with making sure the players get back and they get some sleep. But I do not like what Kentucky did as a fan. As their team, that's strategy. That's good that they did that to guarantee the win. Although I agree, I don't think Texas Tech would have had a shot, or Texas A&M would have had a shot in this game. But I do think that as a fan, I do not like this at all. I'm just not a fan of it. I don't like it.
Dude, for me, so being a Georgia Tech fan, the academic side of sports have always been something that they've always viewed as more important than the actual sport itself. And it's always something that's bugged me, like in Georgia Tech. So, I mean, just let the kids play ball. Like, let them go out there, let them have fun, let them finish their day in game.
Now, before we go to Who's That Campus Legend, Wolf Radio and Wolf Sports Network are proud to boost literacy rates with our pre-K book drive. Our ongoing book drive will provide a new or gently used book to every child at UWG's pre-K monthly. Give today by visiting wolfradio.com/book drive. Together, Wolf Radio and Wolf Sports Network will make a brighter future. Visit wolfradio.com/book drive. Now it's time for my favorite segment on the show. Let's do it. Reggie Bush, Johnny Manziel, Jimmer Fredette, Christian Leitner. What do these guys have in common? All these players know what it's like to be a campus legend. Now, Brandon, I really like that shirt you're wearing.
Appreciate it, buddy.
It's really representing West Georgia Wolves, you know. But when you look good, you feel good, and when it fits good, you feel good. Now, when it comes to fandom, nothing matters more than the fit, which I like what you're wearing. The logo you wear solidifies your love. Now you can be a Wolf Sports Network fanatic with our brand new merch store powered by Ozer Apparel. Visit wolfsportsnetwork.com and click About. Now, it's time for Who's That Campus Legend, and to kick it off, Jackson, I'm going to have you start.
How about this? I'm going to toss it to Brandon.
All right. Okay.
Brandon, you're starting it, I guess.
All right, buddy. Oregon.
College is Oregon.
College is Oregon.
Ooh. This, yeah, no, I'm not going to trust it. I'm not going to trust it.
All right, we're going to go into Oregon running back.
Ooh. That could be one of two people.
Yeah, I got two names in my head.
There's
not really, like, their names are not hitting me, but.
You know what? I'm walking in.
Jackson's going to lock in. Michael, you got any guesses?
I'm walking in.
I'm not.
It's one of two guys, and I'm a big fan of this first guy. So I'm gonna kind of stick with that.
All right, we ready for the 2012 NFL draft?
Then yeah, I'm right.
He was second round pick.
I'm right. I'm walking in for 4, man. Like, I got this locked down, bro.
I don't got anything yet.
I got this locked down.
I can see him in my head, and I can't think of his name.
I can't. Yeah, I'm stuck between two.
I got this locked down.
He played from 2012 to 2015.
Yeah, I got it.
Oh, short career. Okay.
I got it.
I still got nothing, Michael. How you doing?
I can't.
Oh, man.
Oh.
No? All right. He played for the 49ers and the Dolphins.
Yeah, I got it. Wait. Yeah, I got it. 49ers and the Dolphins. I am pretty sure I locked this in at Oregon running back, just to let you know. So 4 points. By the way,
got you.
What are the standings right now?
I'll read them after.
Okay.
Don't try and rub it in our face, Jackson.
What are the stats? Okay.
I don't got to guess.
I can't. I can see him, but I just can't. I can't think of his name.
All right. Let's see what we got over there, Jackson.
It's upside down.
Down, but it is right. It is a LaMichael
James. James, baby. What you know about LaMichael James, bro?
Led the Ducks to a national championship.
So
again.
Jackson gets 4 points there. Now Jackson, don't try and throw this one away this time. You're next.
Okay. This guy went to Penn State.
Ooh.
Penn State. I have it pulled up on my phone right here.
All right.
Wide receiver.
I don't have anything.
Nothing.
Penn State wide receiver.
A Penn State wide receiver.
I feel like the worst position in Penn State history.
A Penn State wide receiver. Do y'all want me to give you the next one?
Yeah.
And that is draft. Second round, 46th overall in 2020.
Oh, so it's recent.
Oh, I know who this is.
Are you locking in for 3 points?
I know who this is.
Brandon's locking in for 3.
You're locking in for 3?
I would not personally consider this guy a campus legend.
I think he's a campus legend.
He's a pretty good pool.
I'm going to need that next hint.
You're going to need that next hint? It's years pro, correct?
Yes.
3. 2020 to 2022.
So, is he retired or is he just...
I don't think he's retired.
He was
just
not very good in
the
NFL.
No. He is currently on a team. He just hasn't played since 2022. He is currently on a team. He just hasn't played since 2022. I was a big fan of this guy in college.
No.
I would be so disappointed if somebody at this table did not get this. I'd be so disappointed. Do you want me to tell you?
Yeah.
The team?
Yep.
The Broncos.
The Broncos.
He has only played for the Broncos. Is not currently signed by the Broncos.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't know what team drafted him, but this guy seems like he played on the Broncos.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have anything, Michael?
I have nothing.
Dude,
Do you have nothing?
I'm stumped.
All right. Can you pull up your? I gave all the hints, right? Yeah. You got to pull up all.
Yep. Show your
pull up
board.
all your boards.
Now we only have one guess.
KJ Hamler.
KJ Hamler.
It is KJ Hamler. KJ Hamler, by the way, plays for the Bills
For 3
right now.
points.
He's right now on the Bills. That's why I was a little disappointed that you did not guess him.
So Brandon, how many points did you lock in for?
3 points.
3 points there. All right. Now, Michael, I'm gonna have you go next.
All right. So so college is the first one, right?
Yes.
Yep.
All right, Alabama.
Alabama.
Oh, that really narrows it down.
There's
that
a lot of
really,
good players
really-
from Alabama.
That really.
What's the position?
Running back.
Ooh.
Oh.
I hope we haven't done this one already.
I don't know.
I really hope we haven't done this one already. There's
I-
2 I can think of. Well, actually, there's multiple.
I don't
You can
have-
only think of 2?
No, there's multiple.
Buddy.
I can think
I
of
was
so
about to say,
many
there's about
Alabama
10
running
I can
backs
think
right
All
now.
right. What round and where was he
What
drafted?
pick?
All right. So it was 2016, and he was in the 3rd round, 73rd overall.
Oh, I got it.
Oh.
I got it.
Oh.
Bro, I was a big
You know
fan of this guy.
I may be on a reach here.
I was a big
This
fan.
may
I was
be
a
a
big
reach.
You're a big fan of
this
every guy that we
I'm a
said so
big
far.
fan of every guy that I say, personally. But I'm a big fan of what Michael said. So
I don't even know if you guys know who this guy is.
I know who this guy is. I know exactly
I don't
who
got it.
this is. Who's that Pokemon?
I don't got it. Next
Okay.
one.
All right. So what's the next one? Is it like teams that he's been on?
Years pro.
Years pro.
So I believe he's still in the league. So, yeah, he's still playing. He's still
Okay,
playing.
so from 2016 to
now.
he's still in the league.
Now.
To now? Ooh. I think I just messed up.
I think I may have messed up.
I just messed up.
Oh,
Alabama 26.
there's a guy
Actually,
in
no,
my
my
mind.
bad. The last year was his last season, so he's done now.
Oh, he's retired.
Oh,
Okay.
then never mind. I think I'm chilling.
I think I may be cooked, boys.
Oh,
I think I may be
all right,
more cooked than a
Do
well-done
you need
steak.
the teams, JT?
I'm gonna need the teams.
Okay.
I
So
locked in for 3
he's
points.
played with the Dolphins, the Cardinals, and the Browns.
I don't remember
Hold on,
a single
hold on.
team this guy played for.
Can we
but-
put up our boards? JT,
Hold
do
up,
you have a
let's
guess?
let JT think for
Hold
a
on.
second.
Wait, so I locked in for Alabama running back 2016. So yeah, I'm locked in for 3. So
Dolphins, Cardinals, Browns.
Yeah,
I haven't.
I locked
I
in
have
for
a
3
face.
as well.
I have a face in my head, but I can't.
if I think I know who this is, I think I know who this is. I know who this campus legend is.
I think you might know who it is.
I think I might know who it is.
I think you're all gonna know
Dude.
if you don't get it. I think you're all gonna know. Who
You
it is
said
if
he
don't
just
get it.
retired.
I'm
Yeah.
so mad that I can't.
Hold on,
No.
did he ever? Hold
Oh.
on, since we locked in, did he ever play in like the XFL?
No, not that. I mean, it didn't say. Not when I looked him up. It didn't say
Okay.
that in the next
I don't got nothing.
Okay, so
All right.
want us
You
to
don't
talk-
have a
I'm
guess.
disappointed in myself.
All right, Brandon.
I'm gonna be so mad when I don't
First?
know his name.
We both said Bo Scarborough.
It's not a bad guess. It's not right, but it's not bad. That's not a bad.
It's
not
not
a
Bo Scarborough.
No.
Who is it?
Kenyon Drake.
Kenyon
Oh. Yeah, no, Kenyon Drake. I'm a big fan of Kenyon Drake.
Yeah, he shared the same backfield as Bo Scarborough.
As Bar
I think.
Scarborough. Scarborough.
Bo Scarborough.
Scarborough. You knew what I meant. So who's our last guy to go?
I'm the
JT.
last person to go,
JT.
which sucks because I'm so far behind in all these standings.
Hey, I got 4 points, man. I'm chilling.
All right, Alabama.
Oh, okay.
Alabama. Ooh.
We got another Alabama guy.
I think
with
it's
the-
Bo Scarborough.
Hit him with the oof.
I think it's Eli Ennis.
This is a running back.
Oh my. No.
It is Bo Scarborough.
I'm about to say this goes back to the Florida wide receiver
I need to
situation.
check.
Yeah.
I need to look at what I have wrote down. Hold on. This guy was 236th overall in 2018.
What
So
in
he
the
was-
world?
He
What
was
Alabama?
a 7th round pick, so he doesn't sound like a campus legend, but trust me, he was.
Trust me, he was.
What Alabama running back was taken in the seventh round
in 2018.
All right, you guys ready for the next hint?
Yeah.
4 years in the NFL and 2 years in the USFL.
Buddy, I don't got to guess.
Jackson locking in.
Yeah.
I don't
Nobody
have a
else
guess
locking
here.
in.
I know who it is.
This guy in the NFL played for the Cowboys, Seahawks, Lions, and Raiders.
I got it. I got it. I got it. I got it.
Are there any guesses?
Let me think for a second.
I got it.
I'm gonna let you guys think
What?
for a minute. You got it.
I locked in for.
Anybody guessing at home? Feel free to
The
put in the YouTube
Cowboys.
comments.
Yeah, I locked in for 2, right?
You said Cowboys.
Did
I locked
lock in for 2.
Okay.
Cowboys and what
I
else?
know exactly who
Cowboys,
this is.
Seahawks,
And if-
Lions, Raiders.
And if this guy is watching, I want him on an interview for the Playbook in the future. If you're ever down to do one.
I don't think he has the right answer. I'm just telling you guys that.
Are we sure this guy's a campus legend? Like,
He 100% is.
This guy's a campus
He
legend.
100% is.
This guy's a campus
You guys have any
legend.
guesses?
I don't have a
I
guess
do.
for you, buddy.
I do.
Michael, do you have a
got one.
guess?
I think I'm a couple years off, but I went TJ Yeldon.
Hold on.
TJ
Hold on.
Yeldon.
I think it's Bo Scarborough.
Hold up.
Is it actually Bo Scarborough?
It is Bo Scarborough.
Scarborough! Let's go, baby!
What a pull.
Bo Scarborough!
That's why I was so scared when Michael said Alabama running back.
Oh,
And I was
Bo
like,
Scarborough.
no way he
I'm a
did
big
Bo
fan of
Scarborough.
that
I was
guy.
so ready to guess Bo
Wow,
Scarborough for
okay.
4. But that means that Jackson, you get 2 points there.
As long as the 4 points with the Michael James guess. So that's
Yep.
6.
So the scores after this episode, Jackson up top with 20 points. Brandon is at 15. Aiden, who's not here, still at 13. And I don't even want to say my score. I'm still at 5. I don't think I'm going to do very well in the coming episodes either. But thank you all for joining us today. I'm JT, joined by Jackson, Brandon, and Michael today. And Richard, who was on earlier. Thank you guys all for showing up. And shout out to Sports Pack on Mondays and Thursdays from 6 to 7. So go check that out. Richard is the host of that. And thank you guys all for showing up and watching today. And we are so excited for next week. See you guys.
Wolf Sports Network and Wolf Radio are coming.